It's a Friday edition here on Zero Block 30, and today we have 5 rounds of the magazine. Round number 1, update the old safety brief because a man contracted a new antibiotic-resistant super gonorrhea strain after having sex on the international trip.
Oh, that's the kind you want to get, though. You don't want plain old boring gonorrhea.
You don't want boring-ass gonorrhea.
I got platinum gonorrhea once.
Oh.
And I didn't. Just
good.
Just
Round
regular.
number 2, 23-year-old Kate didn't have super gonorrhea, but if she was down at the shore with old Bob Lemmons and he walked in, what do you think she would do? I just came across this story and I thought it was fascinating. I mean, life in the Wild West was legitimately wild. Like, if I thinking about going to any time in American history, going back to Wild West had to be one of the craziest, easily. Like, what's going on back there? Round number 3, 10th Mountain Commander says that leaders need to leave soldiers alone after hours. And he says it in such a matter-of-fact way, it's almost like it's common fucking sense. Round number 4.
You know how he said it? You don't need to text your soldiers. Do. Commanders, leave those troops alone. Do. No after hours calls for working parties. Do. I can't tell if Chaps is frozen or free.
No, he's frozen again, but that was too good. That was too good. We have to leave this in. We absolutely have to leave this in.
Halfway
Kate,
through,
you and I might have to just do this show without him. I don't know.
Halfway through, I was like, I can't
no,
tell
but I was
if
like,
he
keep
hates
going.
this so much I've literally killed him. Or if he but yeah, okay, that's a hit right there. Round number 4.
Commanders,
round number 4,
leave your soldiers alone.
Leave those troops alone. Round number 4. In maybe the most smoke pit inspired conversation of all time, we're going to talk about how Amazon wants your dead relatives to be able to speak to you. Is this an OPSEC issue? I don't know if you have any relatives you'd like to chat with from beyond
how I feel,
grave.
but we'll get into it.
Round number 5. I hope you're feeling smart today. We got some ZBT Jeopardy, my friends.
We haven't done that in a bit.
Chaps is still frozen.
Like yeah, it's all right. We'll get him back.
I say we keep on rolling with it. He's probably grabbing some whistle pig right now, is what he's doing. Nick, what do you think? Should we keep rolling or should we wait for the old lad?
Yeah, you can keep rolling. We'll give him some time, but I think we can keep rolling with it. You can pick it up.
All right. Round number 1, an Austrian man who had sex abroad caught a new strain of super gonorrhea that is resistant to most antibiotics commonly used to treat the infection, scientists said. This is the second time a super gonorrhea strain has been detected. Another was found in 2018 in multiple countries. The term super gonorrhea refers to a bug that has a high level of resistance to recommended treatments. If multi-drug resistant strains of gonorrhea keep spreading, many cases of the STD might become untreatable. And this is very bad, especially for the Navy. I have to say, most cases of gonorrhea don't produce symptoms, but can cause serious complications such as infertility. And if it's not possible to treat the infection. Symptoms include discharge and pain when a person pees, and painful testicles or irregular vaginal bleeding. Folks, straight up not a good time. Once you catch that, you're probably not having sex again.
I'm straight up not having a good time.
Yeah, the unidentified man in his 50s. See these damn boomers going around blaming us for not being able to buy a house. Meanwhile, they're out getting super gonorrhea. He had condomless sex with a female sex worker in Cambodia in April. 5 days later, he experienced pain while peeing and had discharge coming out of his penis.
I mean, what do you think's going to happen if you are having intercourse with a sex worker and you don't wear protection? What's the end result? You're just hope and prayer?
There? Yeah, that is not great.
You know, maybe it's my naivete, but at this point, and this all obviously changed certainly with COVID the last 2 years, but maybe I just haven't given enough thought to it. But I feel like we had figured out all of the illnesses, all of the sicknesses. So the fact that they're still out there finding new things is impressive. Yeah, but it also makes me a little scared that no matter what.
Why are you scared, Cons? What are you doing?
Well, because there's
flying over to Cambodia.
No, I'm saying in general, just illnesses, new illnesses that are popping up. But I guess everything, like, I don't know. No, I'm gonna stop talking because I don't want to sound dumber than I've already sounded. So I'll just leave it at that.
Fair enough.
Okay, I'm back up. My internet's being crazy, but All of that today is going to be brought to you by our good friends at Whistle Pig. Now, look, we've been telling you about it since January. I'm tired of telling you about it. I'm just going to show you, my friends, today. It's a Friday edition. So I'm going to do a little strong pour even on a Friday morning.
That's a very strong pour for a Friday morning.
Well, it's 2 fingers. It's a little over two fingers with the cube. 2 fingers exactly of whiskey here. I got the rye. It's the Piggyback 100% rye from it's a state grown.
Taking a sip, ladies and gentlemen. He's taking a sip.
Oh my goodness, folks! It's just absolutely delicious. Look at that. Good branding.
You're glowing.
There.
Whistle Pig Piggyback 100% rye.
Look at that color. Just beautiful.
Barrel aged. It's gorgeous. Amber.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Get delicious. You a piggyback by going to whistlepig.com. Is that the website? I've only had one and I'm ready to go. I think that's the website. Whistlepig.com, or you can pick it up basically at any shop that you have. All right, let's get going with round number 1. Before we do that, Kate, you're down at the shore. Yeah. I got to say, over the couple years that I've been out of the Marines, I guess that's about 10 years now, maybe a little bit longer, about 10, exactly. So I've been out for about 10 years. Having friends outside of the military and having friends in this section of my life, one thing that I've noticed, when my friends now are happy, I am so happy. Like when Kaj was in France and smiling with his new wife and eating delicious food, I was fucking stoked for him. Yeah. When Kate has this mouth open, looking up at the camera, tongue flat, jaw a little bit off to the side, I'm like, my girl is happy as fuck, and I'm happy. It's so good to see you in those stories just be happy.
Dude, I have to tell you, I had the best day yesterday. Pat ended up renting a car and being able to make it down. And so the baby went down for a nap. Pat was like, I'll be there in an hour. And I was like, great. By the time you get back, I'm going to be out at the bars. You got him the rest of the day. The girls are picking me up in the golf cart. There was like a little beep, beep outside. I came running out and my cousins were all crammed into the golf cart. And it was a ladies only day.
And I loved it because all the different tags were all like something Mannion. It was all like, you could tell that's the cousin squad.
It was the cousin squad. And we're all like, everybody had everybody else watching the kids. And we just did a bar crawl on this golf cart. We had a DD. We were very safe. But we just hit up a ton of our old favorite bars and I was ripping shots. I maybe had a couple heaters.
And I did you a favor, Kate, because I didn't even show McCartney. There was one Instagram story where you're smoking heaters. I don't know if you know this, Cons, but when McCartney sees Kate smoking cigaretting. Cigaretting.
Yeah, I remember.
McCartney will call on FaceTime and give Kate the what for.
And tell me they're disappointed in me. But I just had the best time. There was no drama, just out being goofy, I was like laughing so hard. I had tears in my eyes. And I guess you guys had.
Where are we at on as far as you've been down at the shore for, I guess this is day 4 or 5. Yeah. Where are we on you getting your favorite sandwich in the world?
Oh, my pork roll, egg, and cheese?
No. Your favorite beach sandwich.
Oh, more mayonnaise with American cheese on bread.
Right, yeah.
Yes. It actually hasn't been hot enough for that yet. It's been breezy and cool. And for those who don't know, the best sandwich in the world, trust me, don't knock it till you try it. Just plain white bread, toast it a little bit, smother both sides in mayonnaise, and then put white American cheese, like 5 or 6 pieces in the middle, cut it into triangles, sailboats, wrap it up in foil, leave it on your beach chair in the hot sun, go swimming. Get out of the ocean, open that thing up, and my God, it's salty, it's wet, it's moist. The cheese is delicious.
Kate, have
Honest
you ever
to God,
met
I'd
anybody
rather have a
else
strain
who
of
likes
super
these?
gonorrhea than that.
Yeah. Speaking of, we're on to that. Well, can I say one more thing about yesterday?
Sure. Yeah.
Of course.
We started going. We went out at noon. I'm hitting the booze town. Then I had a bridal shower. I got straight home, changed into some another pair of jeans. I was went to the bridal shower, kept drinking.
What was that about with the jeans? Like, why are you acting like that's the most bizarre thing anybody?
It was a bridal shower. Everyone was getting dressed up, and I forgot. I just changed into another whatever outfit. Whatever. That's neither here nor there. I go to the bridal shower. I'm still drinking some wine. I go out to the bars afterwards because then it morphed into a bachelorette party. I kept going till I went noon to midnight, my friends.
Whoa.
And I still had perfect diction. I wasn't slurring. The old girl still got it. I'll tell you that. What was the
status of your pocketbook?
It was rough. I didn't do the skip it dance with it though. I'll say this too. The last bar wasn't playing any music. So me and my cousin started a doo-wop band. Every time you walked to the bathroom, we were like that doo-wop band that you see at Disney. If you say goodbye.
That's be too
Yeah,
long.
That's why my voice is gone. I was doo-wop until midnight last night. You guys don't even know. Round number 1, gonorrhea.
Mm-hmm. Keep going.
Okay. An Austrian man who had sex abroad caught a new strain of super gonorrhea that is resistant to most antibiotics commonly used to treat the infection. This is the second time a super gonorrhea strain has been detected. Another was found in 2018 in multiple countries. The term super gonorrhea refers to gonorrhea that is fucking awesome.
Right.
It's way cooler than the other gonorrhea.
It's actually a superpower. It's one of the littlest baby on The Incredibles has it.
It can fly. It has a small cape. It flies from penis to penis.
Mm-hmm.
The term super gonorrhea refers to a bug that has high levels of resistance. So the normal stuff that you would be given if you're in the Navy and you're at sick call, that ain't working on you.
The
my
peanut
friend.
butter shot is what it would be.
The peanut butter shot, no
Mhm.
longer doing it for you. If multi-drug resistant strains of gonorrhea keep spreading, many cases of the STD might become untreatable. So there's this whole big study about it, but this has the possibility to morph into like the COVID of dicks. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah.
COVID of urethra.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID of is the Magellan a part of the penis? I'm trying to think about the penis part.
The Magellan, like Ferdinand, that explorer.
I'm just saying the epididymis. I'm just trying to show my knowledge.
Epidermis.
No, if you don't know what an epididymis is.
Anyway,
What?
Most cases of gonorrhea don't produce symptoms. Oh my God, I hate you guys so much. But can cause serious complications such as infertility.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not possible to treat the infection, symptoms include discharge and pain when a person pees and painful testicles or irregular vaginal bleeding.
Mm-hmm.
Straight up, not a good time.
Mm-mm.
I remember in high school, we each got assigned an STD we had to make a rap about. And mine was
Okay.
gonorrhea.
how did it go?
I only remember gonorrhea is an STD. It causes burning when you pee. Bloody discharge, itchy smell. This STD sure feels like hell. Gonorrhea.
I mean,
Anyway,
that's legitimately kind of fire. Like, if
Thank
you
you.
should play that in health classes.
they should.
I mean, that's a better way to remember it than reading from a boring old textbook, right?
I got an A.
I think that
See,
would
there
keep
you
you
go.
away from, if you're going to Cambodia, like sleeping with sex workers. I think that would keep you away if you're going to do that type of thing.
Which is what this gentleman did who got the
Mhm.
super gonorrhea. An unidentified man in his 50s had condomless sex with a female sex worker in Cambodia in April. If you
let's just stop
have
right
an
there.
uncle and he's on Facebook posting photos in Cambodia or Thailand or something, he's alone, your
Super
uncle's
gonorrhea.
a fucking creep and he's
Mhm.
got super gonorrhea.
I mean,
I'll
to
just
each-
tell you that much.
To each their own, whatever. Again, we talked about it last episode. Whatever you want to do in your free time is up to you as an adult. But if you are going to Cambodia and engaging in intercourse with a sex worker and not using protection, I think you
Mhm.
kind of get what you deserve, right?
Buddy, I wouldn't go to fucking IHOP and have sex with somebody without a condom on, much less Cambodia. Like,
Yeah.
one of my old corporals, he went to Djibouti, Africa, whenever the war on terror first really kicked off and they were still sending a bunch of troops down there. He went there and it was basically like a peacekeeping mission where you'd occasionally have to go check people at the gate. But other than that, they didn't do stuff. And they were able to go out in town. He slept with sex workers in fucking Djibouti, Africa. Like, what
I'm
are
sorry.
you doing, bro?
Maybe this is
Without
wrong
a
of me.
condom.
Without
Without
a
a
that's
condom,
kind
too.
of like that's just stupid. That's just so stupid. And also, I don't know if this is anything, but the name Djibouti just strikes fear in me. Like, that's just not a place you want to screw around. It just
Well,
seems
I
like
think
bad things are
Djibouti,
happening.
Djibouti
there.
is nice. Like, the pictures
it?
from there, like the Djibouti, it is beautiful. Like, there's lots of, like, if you wanted to go do shit there, like, Djibouti is great. Anywhere you're going in the world without a condom is insane. Like,
Yeah.
it's insane. But at the
That's right.
time, Djibouti's gotten a lot of things under control. At the time, their HIV rate was like 50%. It was
Yeah.
insane
Ah.
because it was a culture where they viewed that the only way of getting rid of HIV was to rape someone without HIV. So that's how it really spread like wildfire
Jesus.
in a lot of like rural areas in Africa, is because of that type of view. That's
I
what
never
happened.
knew that.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was
Interesting.
Nuts.
Oh my God. Well, Holy buzzkill, Batman.
Yeah, seriously.
Sheesh.
Maybe we should
I'm
move to the
still
next
riding
round.
high off my
Yeah.
golf cart shooters
Yeah.
yesterday. And you wanna-
Anyways, if you're going on a deployment, and used to be, they would tell you about all the different STDs that you would go as like a safety precaution. And I've actually been doing that with my kids. I mentioned it on Podfathers, but I want to run it by you guys as the same thing for like military leadership or your junior troops. So my oldest is 17 and starting to drive and all that stuff. But I know in a year she's going to be going off to college. Because of that, I have been preparing mentally how to give her safety briefs without actually giving her safety briefs because I'm still her dad and she won't give a shit what I say.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I've been doing, if she has to go to work at like Six Flags or whatever, I will, if I have like 2 glasses of wine, I'll be like, babe, you need to ask mom because I've had 2 glasses of wine. I can't drive. Or if I'm in the pool and she's like, can you take me to Target real quick? I can. I've had like a beer and a half. So she looks at me, knows how long I've been drinking. I'm 200 pounds. And she's like, well, damn, if my dad doesn't feel comfortable driving with 2 glasses of wine,
Mhm.
surely I shouldn't be, right?
You
That's
won't be able to drive
pretty good
after this
logic.
pod with the whistle pig.
Exactly.
So you got to just stay home now the rest of the day and chill.
That's good reverse psychology, right?
Yeah, to let them see you make it. Well, just to let your kids see you
Well,
making good decisions. Let your troops
Right.
see.
You're leading from the front, which I think is one of the most effective forms of leadership. So, because think about
So-
how many shows did we watch growing up, like sitcoms where Saved by the Bell, they had an episode about, drinking and driving, and that sticks in your brain more than maybe something your parents told you.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
There was one where one of the college or with the high school students at Saved by the Bell died, and I was gutted about it.
Oh, you're gutted about. So if you're a commander, when you leave the ship, make sure you have condoms just dangling out of your pockets for all to see. And so they point out, sir, you have something hanging in your pocket. Oh my goodness. I guess it's this condom that I was going to
Or if
use
you want
to fuck the Cambodian sex worker with safely.
if you want to take it a step further, just always be wearing one.
Always have a condom on.
Just
Always. Don't
at
take
all
it off.
times.
Don't ever
Yeah.
take it off.
It's like people are like, hey, I get this all the times. Hey, chaps, I can't keep my condom on whenever I'm not fully erect. You wrap the top around the balls. That's all
Right.
you got to do. You
Yep,
just
wrap
take
the
the
top around the
condom,
balls.
stretch it in, and then it's like a nice little pouch. And then that's
Mhm.
all you have to do. It's really brainless, honestly.
Put your whole penis in there. 5 days later, this 50-year-old guy, he experienced pain while peeing and had discharge
I
coming
think we're
out of his
good on
penis.
this story, Kate. I don't think
Yeah, we don't need to go
bottom
into
of
more.
it
And
Yeah.
his penis tip looked like the those little things that you write icing with icing, you squeeze it out the top.
Oh, yeah, like
Oh.
an icing fucking
Ye-
bag.
Yeah, it was like an icing bag of gonorrhea.
Okay.
Let's move on to round number 2. What do we got here, Kate?
Okay, round number 2, Bob Lemmons. I'll be honest with you, never heard of the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say about that. Bob Lemmons, but I'm looking at this picture of him. He looks like a fucking badass.
He looks like an absolute wild card.
Bob Lemmons was one of the greatest Mustangers of all times. He became a legend in his day by perfecting his unique method of catching wild Mustang horses. And in the military, a Mustang is if you're enlisted and then you go officer
Good
'Cause
Yeah.
connection.
Why is that?
because you're wild, but then you become
Mm.
tamed. You become an officer. You become boring. You become bland. You used
Sorry
to be
about it.
wild and free.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Robert Lemmons was born a slave in Lockport, Caldwell County, Texas in 1848. He moved to Dimmitt County, Texas, then sparsely uninhabited land overrun by wild horses. Lemmons gained his freedom at the end of the Civil War at age 17. He found employment with Duncan Lemmons, a man who taught him about horses and gave Robert the surname Lemmons. Robert Lemmons farmed, hauled supplies, and went on cattle drives for Duncan Lemmons. No other cowboy equaled Lemmons in capturing Mustangs, which were in high demand for roundups during the cattle drive era of the 70s and 1870s and 1880s. He usually worked alone, totally isolating himself from humans to gain a Mustang herd's trust and thereby infiltrate the herd.
That sentence right there is one of the most badass things I think I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
The idea that you can go out just by yourself in wild West Texas and be like, you know what? I'm just going to fucking live with these horses until they trust me. And then the way that he gains the horse's trust is insane. I think it's like the next line, Kate.
Yeah, he then uprooted the herd hierarchy by mounting the lead stallion and then taking control of the herd, which followed him into a pen on a nearby ranch. So
I think you're watching that from afar. You give this guy a good old fashioned sucking, like you just do.
Anybody. It doesn't matter who you
Doesn't
are.
matter.
If
You
you
get a wild
witness,
steed, you're getting a sucking, my friend.
if you witness someone doing that, leaping on the head stallion, and then that, yes,
I just think our
Gonorrhea or
frame,
you
not.
gotta drop to your knees right then and there.
our frame of reference is completely different, chaps, right? So like clearly like we think this is unbelievable, but I think back then that was just what you did.
No,
they
it
didn't know any
wasn't. Like the
better.
story goes on to say, it wasn't. Like he was the most prolific one that was able to do it. And that's how he established this huge ranching system across Texas. He was the best at it. And a lot of other people couldn't do it.
I do think some people, like not everybody has it, but like some people do have this uncanny way of connecting with animals. Like Chaps, you probably have it as a dog handler. Like, but I mean, I don't think I have it. Spork doesn't give a shit about me.
Spork hates you.
Man. No, but like I do think people have this certain thing. Grizzly Man had it till he got eaten by a grizzly. You know,
There's a dude at Lackland's dog training school named Doc Hilliard. I've talked about him before, but any animal that would be injured at the dog training fields or anything like that, he almost instantly could form a bond. And I'm very good with animals too. Like, but he was on a different level, like where he would get a squirrel, and next thing you know, the squirrel would like come up to him all the time, and he'd have like little peanuts and give it to him, and they'd sit like in his pocket. Any of the animals that he was around, he would even go to like SeaWorld. And if they were having difficulties with one of their dolphins, he would like figure out the behavioral issue with the dog. His name was Doc Hilliard. He had his
why do you think that is, chaps, that some people have that? Do you think it's a particular scent? Do you think it's a particular demeanor? What is it about a person that they can just connect with those animals?
I think there's a particular level of calmness because like most animals can instinctually fear. So like that was a big part of dog training. If you weren't scared walking into a kennel, most of the dogs would respect you and be fine. If you act scared amongst some of these dogs that were very alpha, you were going to get rolled, and it was going to be quick. They could pick up on how you were acting. But I think it's just like knowing animal psychology and knowing psychology in general is really, really helpful in that regard. Like knowing how to manipulate an animal's drives and make them go. Like that's how being a good dog trainer, you just manipulate prey drive or play drive. And once you figure out how to do that, you can essentially do it with any animal depending on what their natural drives are.
Yeah.
Are there some animals though that no matter what you do, who you are, cannot do that with? Or do you think it's
This
true
is
of
why I
any
don't get
animal?
reptile people.
Yeah, I think
I don't get snake people.
I
They're
do
not.
think some
Snake
snake
people
people
are
will
weird.
say they can tell when a snake's getting upset. I cannot. That's one that I can't. But lions and big cats are notoriously very difficult to train. You think that you have them trained, the next thing you know, you're featured on Barstool Sports because you got your face eaten off. Like that, those are difficult. But the domestication process is fascinating too, and that's what this guy did so well. Like taking these wild horses. Usually it takes several generations to domesticate an animal. Like if you're going to have a fox, for instance, you can bring in one fox and that fox might be docile. By and large, the fox community does not make good pets because they haven't
long
been
time stoolies in the fox community.
Right. They haven't been domesticated long enough. So if you give them time and you continue to do it throughout generations, then you could domesticate an animal. He did it quicker, which I think is incredibly impressive.
Yeah. By 1870, at age 22, he had a small fortune of $1,000 for gathering the wild Mustangs. He bought his own ranch, learned how to read and write. 11 years later, he married Barbarita Rosales in 1881. The couple had 8 children. During his life, Robert Lemmons amassed 1,200 acres of land and impressive holdings of horses and cattle. With his own financial security achieved, Robert and Barbarita Lemmons became well known as people who helped their neighbors during the Great Depression. He died at the ripe old age of 99 years old. And when you look, he was a slave, and this is what he did and became. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty
Good for
incredible.
him.
And do this with only one buddy teaching him how, or one guy teaching him how to do it. And then you don't have YouTube. Like there's a lot of things that I
how do you
feel
do
like,
without YouTube?
I feel like I could figure out with YouTube. Like I've fixed some cars, I've fixed some plumbing issues. But if you're talking about going out to Wild West, Texas, and being like, you know what, I'm going to domesticate these huge ass wild Mustangs. And these aren't nice ponies. This is not fucking little
Horses
Sebastian
bite,
that we're talking about.
Yeah. Little
It's
Snickers.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it's crazy too. It's another thing I think we take for granted. We all just grew up, and at some point when you're younger, you learn to read and write. It's crazy that there were adults that had no idea how to do any of that. That was considered, and obviously a skill that wasn't a given like it is now. So that's kind of what I was saying with him. The fact that he went out and he was okay with being in the wild. I think that part was probably common, where you just kind of went and did things because you had to.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that the world literacy rate has gone up a ton. But it's still remarkable at how many people in the world aren't literate.
Oh, in Afghanistan, almost
Yeah.
nobody could read or write. It was
It's
well, at
crazy.
least where we were. Friendly reminder.
Because 15% doesn't sound that much, but when you talk about 15% of the world, that's a shit ton of people that are still illiterate.
Yes.
Friendly reminder. I once stayed on Assateague Island where the wild horses are.
Mhm.
And I got very drunk and I fell asleep outside and I got bitten by so many mosquitoes. It looked like I had shingles and I couldn't function.
But this is
for a week.
everywhere. You were completely covered, right? Like,
They went into my britches.
Oh my goodness.
It was
also
a nightmare.
I hear wild horses. I immediately think of Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon on a roller coaster. That might be a deep cut. I don't know. There will definitely be some people who might get that reference,
but at night I could hear their hooves clooping around. Terrifying. So big shout out to him. That's an impressive life, my friends.
It sure is. Let's move on to round number 3. That's going to be presented by our good friends at Freedom Grooming. They have the Flex Series kit that'll have you the smoothest shave of your life. If you can see my dome.
So smooth. That is a beaut.
It's feeling so good. I enjoy it. One of the things I enjoy about having this product is you can put a little bit of shaving cream on it still. And one of their packs has the little brush. Cons, have you ever been a shaving brush guy?
With the little
brush where you can put it in the hard soap or the hard cream or whatever?
Yeah, and I've never have been, but it sounds delightful because you know what it does? It like brings your hairs to the surface. That's the whole idea behind it. So you're not like scraping them off.
The one that I have here has it. So you can get it
amazing.
Here. And what you do is you heat the water up a little bit and then you put the brush on there. You stick it in this hard shaving cream, slather it around like you're a barber, and then I just go all over my head. And it feels so soft and luxurious and warm. And it like opens up your pores. And then whenever you shave it with this little thing, it has like 6 blades around it and you cover it all over your head. It takes me like 3 minutes to shave my whole head. Like I usually will do it one hand. Lately, I've been doing it one hand brushing my teeth in the morning, the other one with shaving cream on the top.
That's kind of like when you're doing the rub your head
first. Yeah. Luckily, they have the kind of razors where you're not going to be like chipping yourself and cutting yourself up, because I would definitely do that. Annalise says I look like 10 years younger with my head fully shaved. I don't know about that. I don't know if I look 30. Thank you very much, but I feel handsome with it. You could do the same thing. Freedom is offering our listeners 20% off when you go to freedomgrooming.com/ZBT. That's freedomgrooming.com/ZBT. You're going to get a refill plan, a close shave plan, and you'll never run out of fresh, sharp blades delivered to your door every 6 weeks with free shipping. That's one of the things about having like an automatic razor or like an electric razor that gets annoying is sometimes you'll run out of them or you won't be able to find them in stock at a store. You won't have that problem because they'll be delivered every 6 weeks. Again, go to freedomgrooming.com/ZBT. Let's move on to round number 3. And I'll say this commanding general, Major General Milford Beagle Jr. is quickly becoming one of my favorite generals.
Same here.
He's the same guy that we talked about a couple of weeks ago that was on a domestic airline flight coming from an area, going back to his base, and sat next to a new private that was going to boot camp, a recruit that was going to boot camp. And he gave him some career advice while he was going there. Several things have popped up online that this guy is doing.
Oh, that was the same guy?
Same guy. Yeah, this dude's awesome.
Yeah.
This is the type of guy from him and Sergeant Major of the Army. I feel like the Army leadership right now is out and being very vocal. I wish Marines and the Air Force, Sergeant Major, Chief Master Sergeant Bass, she does the same type of thing. I wish the Marine Corps would do that. They're not. Step the fuck up, guys. What the fuck?
Yeah. He seems just very relatable and human, and at the same time, and
using common sense.
Yeah.
This order that he put out, this memorandum that he put out, if you're in his command, I feel like your respect level for him goes up. This is the type of thing that'll make people run through fucking walls for you. Kate, walk us through this story.
Yeah, the commander of the Army's prestigious 10th Mountain Division wants troops to be less glued to their phones, ordering commanders and senior NCOs to lay off texting soldiers after duty hours. So basically, once you're released for the day, he doesn't want you bugging your troops anymore. He wants his formations to be careful about their reliance on phones over concerns of the constant barrage of social media and messages that are impacting troops' mental health. Major General Milford Beagle Jr., commander of the Fort Drum, New York-based division, issued a memo barring leaders underneath him from texting or calling their subordinates before 5 a.m. or after 6 p.m.
Let's actually just fucking standing ovation for this decision. Just, I mean, for people who aren't in, and there's a lot of jobs in the civilian sector, obviously, that require you to be near your phone or reachable at all times. But I don't think it's as bad it is in the Marine Corps, like in the military. It's awful, like having to figure out different things and constantly be on your phone. When I got out, I didn't carry my cell phone with me anywhere. If my wife was there with me anywhere for like a month, I was just like, I'm just not bringing it. And just getting rid of it felt so good.
There were times where like you would just be, I would be a weekend, you'd be released, you were not doing anything wrong. And there would be some text message that came out, some mass text. And if you didn't respond fast enough, you got in trouble for it. It's like, wait, what? Like, I can't.
And how did they operate the military before cell phones? I mean, my dad, I think that's a little different perspective that I have here because I was a military brat growing up. I remember my dad being on duty. Like whenever he was the staff duty officer of the day, he would come home and he would have to be by the phone. Nobody else was allowed to touch the phone all day. Like if you wanted to talk to your mom, you want to talk to whoever, it did not fucking matter. Dad was on duty. The phone line had to be open. Nobody could talk. And then when he wasn't on duty, he could do whatever. Like he didn't have to worry about being recalled or anything like that because you didn't have cell phones. You didn't have to worry about it. How did we go in 15 years, essentially? How do we go from, it doesn't matter, we're going to see you on Monday at 6:00 and we could figure it out then, to you have to respond in 5 minutes to know that your uniform of the day has changed?
Right. It does get stressful. And so there are a couple of caveats for exceptional circumstances, including situations involving the well-being of the soldier. But the memo seeks to stop soldiers from using phones during meetings and field exercises as well. Though Beagle told military.com in an interview that his intent isn't an outright ban on phones and more of a strong suggestions for troops to be weaned off their devices. And that's true too. Like, and just like it's a problem in schools, the kids are like sneaking their cell phones. You're not paying attention fully to what you're learning. If you're not paying fully attention to the training you're undergoing, like as corny as it sounds, that could ultimately be a lethal thing. And
absolutely.
Yeah, you have to be paying full attention.
And I'm going to tell you, and you guys know this, like if you're in front of a formation and you can visibly see that people aren't paying attention, it's so aggravating. It's so aggravating because you just know that, okay, now I'm going to have to repeat this because PFC Snuffy wasn't paying attention. And like you said, Kate, it's just a matter of life and death. So maybe you should pay attention and get off your freaking phone looking at Twitter.
Yeah.
I wonder how different commanders are dealing with this. Cons, if you were a modern commander now, what do you think your cell phone policy would be?
I would, as I've said now a few times, like when people are off of work and their free time, that's their time. Unless something is, as the memo states, like really dire situation, I would say do not text your soldiers when they're not at work, unless it's immediately but then you have to be so specific because then I think people just say like, oh, well, sir, I thought it was important. Like, no, it wasn't. You didn't need to tell him that. You could have told him that information on Monday morning. It's not a big deal. So I would say after hours, no texting, no calls, let people have their time to themselves. Because also too, in the military, we know you're already getting such a bulk of a person's day that you don't need more of it. Like if you can't accomplish everything you need to from 6 a.m. until probably like 6 p.m., well, then you're doing something wrong. You need to look inward on how you could be more efficient. Because if you
what
need
about
to text
during
somebody,
the duty day, though?
Well, I think if you need something, I think that's perfectly fine, right?
No,
like,
I mean, like, what do you think about your troops being on the duty day and having their cell phones? What would your policy be?
Oh, like carrying them?
Or carrying them, being on them during the duty day?
Oh, well, I would say if you're in any sort of formal training environment or formal meeting, 0 phones. Phones are not even on the table. They're in your pocket, and because anything that's urgent is going to be dealt with the people in that room, you know? So there shouldn't be an expectation that you're going to get a text that you have to frantically go do something. So I would say, I don't want to see a phone, much like I'm sure they do in schools now. It's like your phone can't be out, because if your phone's out, then I've lost you.
I
just
think
like-
go ahead, Kate.
Well, I just think this will make better leaders because he said that leaders need to figure out how to put info out to soldiers before they're released from duty.
Mhm.
So
That's what I was just saying,
instead of, just okay, I'm not going to talk to you till tomorrow. Here's like 3 contingency plans. Bring, if we're doing PT tomorrow, but also bring these 4 things in case it's cold, so you have it on you. And
Right.
and be sure to bring it because you're not hearing from me
Isn't
the
that
rest.
fucking
Yeah, it's
novel
just, I
idea?
think it'll make better leaders. It'll help you prepare more. Is
Yeah,
the
I think
thing, so.
phones have become probably a crutch. It's like, oh, I forgot to tell my guys that. Like, all right, let me
Less
get
issues
this.
with them TikTok and shit.
And I like too, he admits, he's like,
absolutely.
if you're checking Twitter, I do it between meetings. That's totally fine, Beagle said. So he's saying like,
Yeah,
I'm not.
I think if I was doing it, I would have almost like a smoking lanterns lit type policy. Like whenever
Right.
I was leading ranges and things like that, I would say, all right, we're going to do this course of fire. You guys have, if you're smoking, if you're dipping, you have 10 minutes. I would say you have the 10 minutes to be on your cell phone, smoke, dip, get a drink of water, whatever you need to do, and then come back here. Phones are away. But I
Yeah.
also think that leadership, paying attention and knowing what's going on with your people's lives is incredibly important. For instance,
Yes.
if one of your people have a spouse or significant other who's having a baby, or if you have a
Mhm,
kid that's
right.
sick
Yeah.
or something like that, I think that's part of a junior troop letting their
Well-
leadership know about certain issues, and that senior leader understanding and valuing the humanity of their troops goes a long way.
Yeah,
too.
but then
Mhm.
that goes both ways too. That's teaching
Definitely.
the soldiers like, hey, communicate.
Right,
Because
yeah.
this one line though does stick out.
But
to me.
units
He goes,
like this is how communication happens whenever
Right.
you actually care about people.
when they feel like they're not going to get in trouble for being communicative. So, I
Mhm.
mean, he says though, like, we're not saying if your wife calls, you can't take a call. It's about common sense. That's where folks get confused. I think when you're talking about common sense, that's not as common in the military as people realize. So that's why sometimes it goes the other way and it gets overly prescriptive about what you can and can't do, what is allowed to be an exception and what isn't. So I
And
think
that's
it's
why
about a
teaching
culture
commander's
change.
intent is so important.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just can't wait to see on US Army What the Fuck moments, the long text string about how they, from one small unit under that command, a long text string about how they shouldn't be texting each other
Dude,
right
we
now.
see so much shit from like them, like these young lieutenants, and God bless them. They're trying their little
God bless
fucking
'em.
baby dicks and flaps off, like trying to get it right, but they just missed the mark so much. Like I saw one that was on US Army What the Fucks recently, where this dude sent out a group text and was like, we have formation time change from 06 to 05. You don't respond in 15 minutes, I'm going to consider you being UA. Like, okay, dude, what the
Yeah,
fuck
all right.
are you talking about?
Okay, good
Like,
luck
it's-
with that.
I think that's the real issue with having 21, 22-year-olds who are in charge of significant shit, is they get too
Mhm.
big for their britches real damn fast.
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
But I think this is good. And I think this will spread. I do believe this will be pretty successful.
Because
And hopefully
everybody
that
wants
culture
it. Who
spreads.
doesn't
Yeah,
want it?
right.
Unless you're a fucking washed up E8 who only drinks and has 3 ex-wives. Who else
That's a
doesn't
lot
want
of
this?
folks, though.
That is a lot. That's probably the same percentage of those that are illiterate. Probably 15% of the
Yeah,
military
probably 15%.
forces.
That's
Yeah.
right. I would argue that's
That-
correct.
That
Yes.
good 15%. All right, let's move on to round number 4. We're going to talk about Amazon and what they're doing, because how do you guys feel? I know Kyle, our old producer, is very against like the Amazon devices, Google devices, that you have voice command because he feels like it's listening in. And there is a lot of truth to that. Like where if you're talking about something, it could show up in your cookies for like an advertisement, which our guy Nick used to do, the sneaky little fuck. Got to be careful around him.
Mhm.
Yeah, so you have to be careful there. But this is now going where I could really see the machines are coming alive.
Yeah, this is weird. And I'm not sure how I feel about this. Amazon has revealed an experimental Alexa feature that allows the AI assistant to mimic the voices of users' dead relatives. The company demoed the feature at its annual Mars conference, showing a video in which a child asks Alexa to read a bedtime story in the voice of his dead grandmother. So this sounds lovely, but you know what it reminded me of?
Hmm.
In Harry Potter,
Hmm.
that magic mirror where he can go, it's like hidden in that bathroom or that
Mhm.
closet or whatever,
It's in
Where he
the
can
library upstairs.
and it shows you the dead people, your loved ones that you can no longer be with anymore. And it's a trap. Like you can't suddenly, like you see yourself in the mirror next to your parents or whatever, and that's all you want to do with your time is stand there and see it, and it sucks you in. Like it just kind of remind. I know that's not what would happen, but I can see people.
I completely think this is what happens. Like you get sucked into. I could see this leading to deep, dark depression. Like if you are
Yeah.
missing someone, like if you're in a deep state of grief and you discover this, I could see something like this consuming your life. Like,
Let
almost
me
like
play
the movie
devil's
Her.
advocate though. Would it consume it to the point that it does not allow you to get over it and get past it and have
Could,
closure?
for sure, but anything could really. I mean,
Yeah.
just
Like,
having.
I can see a guy like continuing to be with his dead wife
Yeah.
just by talking to her Alexa voice, like I
Yeah,
don't know.
in this article, it shows things that technology is doing currently that even though I work in this business, I had zero idea. Let's keep going through the story.
Yeah. As you saw in this experience, instead of Alexa's voice reading the book, it's the kid's grandma's voice, said Amazon's head scientist for Alexa AI. Prasad introduced the clip by saying that adding human attributes to AI systems was increasingly important in these times of ongoing pandemic when so many of us have lost someone they love. I feel like this is weird, and I always feel like there's sinister shit behind what they're doing for
big
some
time.
reason.
Mhm.
Yeah.
While AI can't eliminate that pain of loss, it can definitely make their memories last, said Prasad. Amazon
Have
has
you
given-
seen those on TikTok? I'm sure, Cons, you don't go on TikTok as much, but there are these ads where you can go and download an app and you can download a family member's portrait and it looks like they're speaking to you, like saying Merry Christmas or whatever, like giving a
they
message.
become animated. The photos become moving. So like
and
a
I'm
photo
sure
of your
you've seen like
grandmother.
the memes of George Washington singing
Yeah.
like fucking through the window to the wall or something like that. Like that, it happens all the time now. I still think it's incredibly creepy, and I could see olds getting duped by it. Honestly, like, let's just be honest.
Dude.
The olds are going to get so much money stolen from them from something like this.
Well, this is this is the scary part. So Amazon has given no indication whether this feature will be made public, but it says its systems can learn to imitate someone's voice from just 1 single minute of recorded audio. So say my grandparents were still alive, rest in peace, they were a delight. But say somebody takes my voice from
That was ridiculous caveat. Like anybody was going to assume you were talking shit about your grandparents.
Seriously.
But say somebody takes 10 seconds of my voice from this show, and now they can make me say whatever they want, and they call my grandparents and they're asking for money. You know what I mean?
Right. My mom would give up. My mom would be like, oh, what do they need? Like if you called and you were like, you have a collect call from nephew Catherine, inmate number 257. You're like, oh, here we go again. And she'd be sending me money.
Yeah. But like, you're right. This could be used for all sorts of, although this specific application is already controversial with users on social media calling the feature creepy and a monstrosity, such AI voice mimicry has become increasingly common in recent years. These are known as audio deep fakes, and they've already been regularly used in industries like podcasting, film and TV, and video games.
What kind of podcasting budget you have where you have AI? Who is that? That must be like Big Cat.
It's actually Cons has never actually been on our show. He's an officer robot hybrid that we've created.
God, I would love to do that. If I can make Cons' script, that would be incredible.
I love my loafers and golf.
Pussy.
Stuff. Many audio recording suites, for example, offer users the option to clone individual voices from their recordings. That way, if a host flubs his or her line, for example, a sound engineer can edit the way they've said things. Oh, Nick would be he would never be able to do anything else again but sitting here. That's so disingenuous
if you start doing that. That's just not real. Obviously.
Yeah, that's being terrible. This is what makes us great.
Right.
Last year in a film, it was revealed that a documentary about the life of chef Anthony Bourdain, who died in 2018, used AI to clone his voice in order to read quotes from emails he sent. Many fans were disgusted by the application of the technology, calling it ghoulish and deceptive. Others defended the use of technology and thought it was pretty cool. So there's two schools of thought in this.
There really is. And there is sometimes where if you guys could control the voice of anybody, who would you use?
But control it for what purpose? Just in general?
It's up to you. Interpretation is part of the question.
I would make Celine Dion sing all kinds of fun stuff. My gonorrhea rap, for example.
Oh, yeah. That would be good to have a singer's voice. That would be
a good
incredible.
singer's voice at my fingertips.
I'm trying to think of a way that this could impact my marriage in a positive way. And I'm not getting anything. I don't know.
Dirk Diggler?
Probably if your voice just went away and you became mute. That would probably be
Steve
the best.
Austin.
That would go a long way.
Nick is saying Steve Austin would be a good one. You're candy ass.
I would just get stone cold. Anytime my wife says something, I just be like, what?
Who do you think is like a super rich person's voice who's very recognizable?
Oh, McConaughey.
Oprah.
Yeah, like an Oprah voice. McConaughey would be good too. I would want that just for like calling in to places that I need an answer. Like if I had to call TRICARE to get something taken
You sound
care
like
of.
Obama.
Yeah, so I could sound like a Joe, be like, oh, the Cawthorn family not being able to get a psychiatrist for the last 3 weeks is a bunch of malarkey. Like, go ahead and figure this out.
Yeah.
Until like Biden's actually calling on my behalf. That'd be awesome. I would love to do something like that.
That's a good point. That could be very useful. But yeah, it is scary to think this is, and it's if they can figure it out, I'm sure this will just be common technology very soon. So
you know who's absolutely chomping at the bit?
Who?
Nigerian princes. Like they are.
Oh,
just
yeah.
Man. Once
They're
they get
all
their
in.
hands on this,
hand over fist.
Those robocalls are about to be coming through from Aunt Betty. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness gracious.
And that's
all right. Let's
freaky.
move on to round number 5, which is going to be a little bit of ZBT trivia. It's going to be presented by our good friends at Rocky Boots. They have the best boots in the biz, no matter what you're doing. And huge shout out to my pool guy, my new pool guy. I had to fire the old pool guy because my pool had a bunch of aloe in it. And buddy, I'm not paying $200 a month for aloe or algae, and they're not aloe. Aloe
Yeah, not aloe. Aloe would probably
Swimming
be
in
good.
aloe would be very dangerous, man.
It would be. Good luck, buddy.
That, but I was he was showing me a little part on my pool pump that broke. I looked down. Wouldn't you know it? He had some fucking Rocky boots on, a real working man getting out there doing plumbing, doing that stuff, wearing a little bit of Rocky boots. I said, I actually told him too. I was like, hey, if you're needing a new pair of boots, I know those are looking a little worn. You can get some new ones by going to rockyboots.com and the promo code ZBT. You're going to get 25% off your next checkout. All kinds of stuff is happening here in Texas lately. They just recently, and this might be a challenge that I'll do if we get to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, where I would do, and maybe Kate and Cons could come down as well, do the trail from San Antonio to Austin. It's a 100-mile trail that's supposed to take like 5 or 6 days. Maybe at some point that's a type of outing that we could do, because I think it would be incredible content, because I would be very furious at having to do that. But if I did do it, I would be doing it wearing my Rocky boots. And you could do it by going to rockyboots.com and then promo code ZBT at checkout for 25% off. All right, here we go. We're going to have a little bit of trivia action. We'll go 1 for 1. So the first question is going to go to Kate. The second question is going to go to Cons. Nick, if you could keep score and let us know at the end who is the winner, that would be great. I think we'll go through. Let's do best of 11. Want to do best of 11?
Oh, yes. All right, let's do it.
Okay, so that's really 11 questions.
I'm gonna whoop ass. I'm gonna whoop your candy ass. I'm calling it now.
Kate is first. The question comes to the category Air Force. Which celebrity has served in the U.S. Air Force? Is it Isaac Newton, John Wayne, Tom Cruise, or Johnny Cash?
Johnny Cash.
That is correct. One for Kate.
I have a cash myself. I know all the cash facts. Go ahead.
True, you do know a lot of cash facts. Number 2 for Cons. How many presidents have been part of the U.S. military? 26, 24, 29, or 21?
Oh my goodness gracious. I think I'm going to oh shoot. Shit. I'm between 24 and 21. Oh my goodness gracious. I'm going to say 21.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is 26 presidents have been a part of the U.S. military.
That.
1 for Kate, 1 for Con. Kate, next question. Which of the following can't a Marine do while in uniform? The answers are shop, smoke cigarettes, leave their base, or put their hands in their pockets.
Ooh, I'm going to say put their hands in their pockets.
That is correct. I was trying to be tricky there, because you also can't leave base whenever you're wearing it, but you can be in your car.
You can be in your car. That's true.
Well done, Kate. Next up, Cons. So Kate's 2, Cons is 0. What did members of the Navy do to mark where they have been while they were serving? Number 1, phone their relatives. 2, mark their passports. 3, pick up a memento. 4, get a tattoo.
Get a tattoo.
get a tattoo? That is correct. The score
Yes.
is 2-1. Well done,
Yep.
Cons. If you
Mhm.
remember pictures from old Navy guys and ladies from the 1940s, they were
Mhm.
constantly tattooed up. Each port that they would go in, they would find a different place and find something significant in that area. That's why you had so many people with Japanese koi fish style tattoos.
Yeah.
Which I
Guys,
got.
Wow.
we only have 24 hours off the ship. We got to get our tattoos and our super gonorrhea. Let's
And
go.
the tattoos oftentimes look like shit.
Yes.
Absolute
Mhm.
garbage. However, one of the biggest things people say whenever you get a bunch of tattoos is like, what is that going to look like when you're old? When you're 90,
Pretty
like
sweet.
those old World War II Navy dudes that
Yeah,
have
they look
all the
badass.
tattoos, they look fucking awesome. That's not
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
argument at all.
Yeah, that's a great.
Maybe a tribal is a little different. I'll look like a piece of shit, but that's fine too.
Yeah.
Next
We'll
up
have
for
to
Kate.
revisit that.
Next up for Kate. Is it true or false that the Coast Guard is part of the United States military? True or false?
Well, see, I know they fall under a different department, so I'm going to say false.
The answer is true. Although they fall underneath the Department of Homeland Security, they're still considered to be
we just
one of the
interviewed
and
them.
honestly, Kate, a little offensive. I gotta
I know,
say,
they're just
maybe Cons is right, and you should watch The Guardian.
They were just spinning their little helicopter
For the
around
love
over
of
the beach
God,
the other day.
please
I was
watch that
waving at
movie.
them. I said, "It's me, Kate from ZBT." And
Where they listen to Welcome to the Jungle.
they were listening to Welcome to the Jungle. They had a
I
lady in a
fucking love that
basket
song.
flying underneath. She was hooting and hollering. It was
She
great.
really was. All right, next up for Cons, the score is 2-1 still.
Mhm.
Next up for Cons, in what state would you find the headquarters of the Department of Defense? Would it be New York, Washington, Maryland, or Virginia?
Oh my God. Washington, as in Washington, D.C., right?
Yeah,
Washington, D.C.
that's not a
Idiot.
state, Cons. That's a
Idiot.
district of Columbia, and the correct answer is Virginia. is
Virginia.
where it would be.
Oh
Well
my
done.
God.
So 2-1. That one's embarrassing, Cons.
I should
It
get a
was
point.
pretty bad.
I should get a point for that,
DC,
quite
not even a
frankly.
state. Wow.
Hmm.
Next up, what did the military invent to eliminate the noise of clothing? Kate, did they invent discrete air horns, buttons, zippers, or silent Velcro?
Silent Velcro.
Silent Velcro is correct. The score is now 3-1. They
I just
had
did
Velcro.
a ZBT fun fact about that recently.
Oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Well done, Kate.
Mhm.
Next up for Cons, which of the following items is included in a military survival kit? Is it condoms, a spork, cell phone, or a spoon? Which item is in a military survival kit?
Spork.
Nope.
Cons went
It's
with sport. The
condoms.
correct answer is condoms. Exactly right, Kate. They are good because a condom
Mm-hmm.
can be used for their ability to hold water, and they can be saved in many different types of scenarios because they stretch out so big. Many
Mhm.
people have even caught fish by putting a little piece of meat in the bottom of a condom and holding it in there, and they will catch the little fish and have something to
Mhm.
eat. The more you know. I didn't know that part about condoms. Next up, what changed in the military in 1973? For this question is for Kate. Is it conscription, requirements, rations, or roles that women play?
Roles that women play.
That is incorrect. The correct answer is conscription because that's
Dang.
the end of the U.S. draft.
All
And now it
right.
became an all-volunteer force in 1973. So people will no longer be drafted. That
Mm.
meant if they wanted to enlist, they could just
Damn.
do it because their little hearts desired, and maybe they were going to get a box of donuts and a little bit of an enlistment bonus, which is lovely.
Yeah.
It's absolutely lovely. By the way, the Army, because they're having so much trouble recruiting, and all the other branches are as well, they released a new tattoo policy, which is the first thing to go. We've mentioned it several times. When there's an active, full-scale, large-scale war going on, the military restricts the tattoo policies. They want them to look like silent professionals whenever we're going anywhere. And then when things calm down, they're like, okay, you guys can look like badasses and get as many tattoos as you want. Now the Army is allowing a tattoo behind the ear, on the wrist, and on the back of the neck is where they're allowing you. So in
Wow.
order to increase. However, the DoD has said that they will not relax marijuana restrictions, which is fucking stupid. Like if you got rid of that requirement, they need to get rid of that one and ADHD. Because right now, if you had been diagnosed with ADHD or ADD and you were taking medicine for it, it's almost automatically a disqualifier.
Really?
Yep.
That's
Wow.
ridiculous.
Get
I
rid of
do
that.
hear they have
It's
that
so
new
easy
song
to manage.
about the
Yeah.
tattoo policy that they updated.
What'd
What
you
is
say?
it?
Your neck, You're back. You're
Yeah.
pussy and you're crack. You can
Yes,
get tattoos on all those things now.
That's a good point, Kate. None of the branches of service, to include the new Space Force, have any restrictions on tattooing your pussy.
Well, that's true. Ladies.
No word yet if you can tattoo your cock or not. Cons, do you know?
No.
No, I have no idea.
I think you can, depending on. Next question. Whose turn is it?
Mine.
Oh, it's constant. Is it true or false the army was around before America became a country? True or false?
False.
That is true, Cons. You should have known that. 1775.
Wait, what are you talking about?
Oh.
Yeah, 1775. Yeah, that's when the army was founded. We were around before that.
Well, you must have misunderstood the question. Is it true or false that the army was around before America became a country? And you said false.
Yes, because it was
Said false.
1775.
No take backs.
June 14th.
No take backs.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a clip from a West Point grad. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's sad.
Next up, what are the Warrior Games, Kate? A board for night game soldiers, a wrestling match, a series of military sporting events, or a stampede?
It's military sporting events.
That is correct. I have lost count of the score. Nick,
It's
where are
me.
we
I'm,
at?
I'm crushing it.
It is
I'm,
4-1, Kate, but it
Oh,
doesn't
no
matter
kidding.
at
Goodness,
this
great.
point.
yeah.
And so I guess that's almost. Kate needs one more to win. Cons, this is your question. Which of the following can the military take orders from? The president, the governor, a judge, or a police officer?
The president.
The president is the correct answer. I'm so glad. If you would have got
Okay.
that one, I would have
Yeah,
just done like
yeah.
a parade.
Yeah, but you have me in
my.
my own head at this point that I'm like
Mhm.
overthinking all of this stuff. Like when you asked me the state question, I was like, all right, it's either Maryland or Virginia. And then for some reason I was like, wait, you mean Washington, DC? And then I thought like, oh, well, that's where the Pentagon is. And it, I don't know. But actually the Pentagon's not even in Washington, DC. The Pentagon's in
Sad.
Virginia.
Virginia.
Which is
Seems
the
like a lot of
headquarters. It's the
excuses.
same exact thing.
Seems like
You're
a lot of
"Oh,
excuses
That's the
to
same
me.
exact thing. Headquarters of the Pentagon
Yeah.
are the same thing.
Oh man.
Next one, Kate. What was the previous name of the Department of Defense? Is that the Department of the Treasury, Department of Overseas Affairs, the Department of Defense Relations, or the Department of War?
Department of War.
Department of War. And
They
Kate
needed a
takes
PR
it
change.
5-1. An unbelievable
5-2.
pass.
5-2.
5-2. Excuse me. I apologize.
You know what?
Cons there.
Let's pick another thing because I don't like this.
You want one
You don't
more
like
bonus
knowledge?
question?
No, I want another competition because I don't like losing to Kate because I think
Okay, well, Tuesday we'll do it again. We'll run it back.
Yeah.
I'll come up with some more questions. I think that Kate did well. I think some of the questions, obviously, the way that it came down was a little
it's
bit
curious that you gave Kate a certain amount of questions that were
I don't know. I mean, you can't really say that my questions were hard when you thought DC was a state.
no, that one was on me.
Mhm.
I'll take hand up. That one was on me.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that one was on you. All
What
right,
a
let's move on to
loser.
save rounds and alibis. Nicholas, we'll start with you.
Nothing for me today. Just please keep subscribing to the YouTube channel. Thank you very much. We would
Yeah,
love
because
it.
I'm tired of having to come in ways to get people to watch these YouTubes. I've been tweeting at Joe Biden. I've been tweeting at the Department of Defense. I've been tweeting at Halliburton, all kinds of people telling them that they're fucking up. People, yesterday last night at like 10:30, I tweeted at Joe Biden, like, what do you have to say about this, Joe? And it was
I
our
saw that.
headline. It was our headline that was like, did Joe Biden make our enemies think that we're cannon fodder because he fell off of his bike? I got so many DMs from like angry liberals that were like, you piece of shit clown. You have no idea what he's going through right now. Like, dude, I'm just trying to get these numbers up. That's it.
We're
I'm
just working on numbies.
but you
at
got to
the
take
end of the
advantage.
day.
I mean, with a bunch of followers and you have this kind of job, if you're not tweeting at the president,
Mhm.
is that really dereliction of duty? Many people are saying it is.
Now, I get on my high horse about a lot of things on here, but the important thing to remember at the end of the day is that I'm just a piece of shit.
That's exactly right. And no, I won't say that you've been drinking dumb bitch juice because you haven't.
Well, yesterday for sure I was.
Oh, you
The
were.
whole bucket,
By the way,
of it.
I think that this is a good example of drinking in moderation too. We started the show about an hour ago. I
only
had
got a
2
quarter
fingers.
finger.
I'm down to 1 finger at the
Mhm.
end of the show, over an hour. Buddy, that's moderation.
I'd be honest, I didn't
That's
even notice
whistle
you. I didn't even notice you drinking it.
That's
so.
how smooth
good
it
for
goes
you.
down,
Just doing
my friend.
quick little
That's how
sipsies.
smooth-
Just quick little sips. Gonna
just
take another
quick
one.
little loop Friday episode.
That's exactly right. Whistle pig. All right, Cons, what's your save round, pal?
Number one.
Wait, before
shout
you
out-
get yours, I want to say I need credit. I've been unbelievably nice to Cons this episode.
He has. I was almost When you said you enjoyed his trip, his honeymoon,
I
and we're
was
happy for
shocked by
him,
that, but I think
I
that's
wanted to
more
throw
because
up
of
on my
Alex,
I
shoes.
gotta
not
say,
because of
it's
me.
gotta be my antidepressants, right? I'm fucking glow.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, there is a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
a
Could
fluffy
be
little
whiskey.
cloud.
Could be
No,
could be the Wellbutrin.
no.
Maybe it's a combination of the two. Hard to say.
Yeah,
All right,
hard
Cons,
to
go
say.
ahead.
Yeah, shout out to Andre Carter, Army football player who was named preseason All-American. Haven't
That
had
is
one
huge.
of those.
That's
and
awesome. When's the last time
Yeah.
that's happened?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah. UTSA doesn't have any, by the way.
Mm.
Yeah. The Army might change their fitness standards again, and at this point, I don't know. It's kind of like
I don't even want to update people when they're doing this. I would prefer we're going to update you when they have something set in stone. That's it.
Yeah.
Cons?
Yes, sorry. And then lastly, can you guys, and maybe you can't, explain with the PACT Act? So like nothing's, I'll use myself as an example. Nothing's wrong with me right now.
Mm-hmm.
But well, yes, that's subjective. I was exposed to burn pits and everything. And who's to say that there's not something going on inside of my body right now that will ultimately negatively affect me? So how does that work?
I think
from what I understand, and Kate, correct me if you understand
Mhm.
something different. From what I understand, they'll be able to look at essentially your service record book and the different locations that you are at and find essentially hot spots of locations where people were experiencing different issues. And if you're going in there and you're exhibiting the symptoms that are covered underneath the PACT Act, it's automatically going to apply to you as well.
it's going to be a
All
lot
right.
easier if you have problems in the future to get help for it.
Because before
it.
you'd be like,
Okay.
oh, I have
Should be.
asthma. And they're like, well, maybe you're just going to develop it. Now, if you're experiencing sign of asthma or lung related issues, the assumption is going to be that it's due to burn pits instead of you having to prove definitively that it was.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. That's very helpful.
Which I think is great. I think it's the
I think
right
it is
move.
too.
And it reduces, even though it could end up being more expensive for the government, it increases the likelihood that veterans who need that care will be able to get it timely because they won't have to wait so long for that process. The more things that we can make automatic, like I think that the enrollment in the VA should be automatic. There should be nothing that a service member has to do. You get your DD-214, you're enrolled in the VA, period, full stop. And what my wife is doing right now, legislation that my wife is helping draft and is working with several senators and getting it added to the PACT Act or having different legislation, they want to increase the level of veterans who are able to be seen at the VA because right now, unless your service connected disability directly impacts that illness that you have, you aren't able to be seen at the VA unless you're 100% disabled for all those different things. Well, what they're trying to do, and they've demonstrated it through the data, is that having more veterans covered under the VA actually will reduce the amount that the VA is paying out, because the VA, if it is service connected and you had to go to the emergency room, they're paying those emergent care costs instead of paying just regular insurance costs, which is going to save, from the calculations that my brilliant ass wife has done, it could save as much as $50 billion a year.
Yeah.
As far as VA care goes, which is
good
insane.
amount of coin.
Yeah. So shout out to my super smart wife. Maybe one day I'll have her on to talk about it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
What she's doing. So I would say that she's impacting healthcare far more than anything that I've ever done. And it's pretty remarkable I go upstairs all the time and she's on these fucking meetings all the time with like different politicians and
smart.
shit like that. I'm like, this bitch fucking smart, man. Yeah, she
Smart
let me see
bitch
them things. It's awesome. What else, Cons? Anything?
That's it. That's all I got.
Katie?
Nothing for me. No, that's it.
Okay, I don't have much either. I will say that I am very excited for Kate to be back full time. I've been excited for Barstool Idol. Lots of great things happening in the Barstool world. Make sure that you're going to buy our merch. I'm wearing a new shirt today. Again.
Oh yeah,
the blue one. Make sure that you're hitting up our merch.
I'm wearing greenie again.
There you go. I can't wear green on the podcast anymore because it'll make
too
my
red.
face red. Don't want to do that. Other than that, we'll see you guys back here on Tuesday. Have a great weekend, everybody. You fucking deserve it. It's on the retreat.